Well, what a disaster. Another one. It was Brighton the other week. It's Spurs today. I'm joined with Sam. We want your views. Sack Rodgers. There's nothing else to say, is there?
No, it just needs to go now.
If you want to save the season, we've got to sack Brendan Rodgers, haven't we? Get your views in. Get your comments in. We're live. Thanks so much to Elijah who's done the watch-along today. Let us know your views. Let us know your comments. Let us know what you think to an absolutely, again, disastrous performance by Leicester. Things going from bad to worse. I don't think there's anything much we can do about it, but we want your views. We want your comments. Let us know what you think to Spurs 6, Leicester 2, 1 point out of 21. Worst performance, worst start to the season. Get your views and get your comments in live now for the next half an hour.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everard's, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co. Estate Agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right, wherever you're watching, follow us at Leicester Fan TV. We are fans. I'm a fan. Sam's a fan. You're a fan. We want your views. We want to know what your comments are. I'm going to try and get a few on screen. Carlos says, Rodgers out. I don't think there's anything much else to say, is there? Rodgers out. This can't carry on. It's shambolic the way we're going down. I said it before the game. Danny Ward, bag of spanners, did nothing to save anything apart from tipping one on the bar. Rodgers had no effect on the game. Wayne says he's got to go. He has to go. He's got to do, and it has to be like Michael Smith says. Sam, it has to be now, doesn't it? It's the international break.
There's no point in delaying any further. He should have gone after the Brighton game. We should have gone before that. He should have gone before that. We're delaying the inevitable. We've just lost 6-2 to a Spurs team, which I'd argue that weren't amazing today. I thought they were average at best, and still an average Spurs team could put 6 past a really poor Leicester team. None of the players stood out to me. Dak was the only one, and Maddison that had a decent game today, really.
Let's get some comments in. And did he look so disinterested? Lost his mojo. There was one point, trust me, we're watching the game. Sam literally leaping out his chair. We're rewinding it and watching it. And Diddy, I'm screaming at, is jogging back. I kid you not, jogging back. And Castagna.
We're playing Castagna as a wing back, and he's all the way up the other side of the pitch. He's, playing as a back four, and he's, jogging back when he's in their half. He's in their half by the time the ball's in the net again. It's shocking defending. It's awful.
It's not defending, Sam, is it?
It's not.
It's jogging. The one thing is not jogging.
They've given up. Every player in that club has given up under Rodgers, and I'm sorry, he needs to go.
I mean, the councillor, good evening, sir, says here, keep calm, guys, win the game until Son came on. I hear what you're saying, and we were in it to an extent, but not because, I think mostly because Spurs were just leaky at the back. But I'm going to answer you that. Check the post we're putting out. And I said at that point, are we going to lose by 5 or 6 in a post? And that's what happened. And I think you are clinging at absolute straws by saying we were in it till then. You're out the realm.
Anyone that's trying to say anything to defend the club or anything, there's nothing to defend anything at the moment. Rodgers has to go. It is relegation form, and 1 point in 21 is ridiculous at the moment. It's not the Leicester we know. 12 months ago, we were doing bad, but we were not doing this bad. 24 months ago, we were top 5, doing really well, pushing for a Champions League spot.
I mean, Sam, Chris Gutteridge says here, getting gone now, 2 weeks off now to allow time for someone to get somebody sorted. If they don't do it now, I can't see it until after Christmas. Surely it has to be now, Sam.
100% has to be now. There's no better time for sacking than now, because the new manager's got time. Not trying to sound harsh, I don't know how many players we've got on international break. I highly doubt it's many at the moment. I don't think many have been picked, especially not for England. There's not been any in that club. Needs to be a new manager that comes in and changes around what goes on. I'm going to say, obviously, Sean Dyche, bring him in. He's a no BS manager. He'll come and turn this around for us.
Nathan says here, and Diddy has been very poor for 18 months now. Awful lack of awareness around him.
For me, that's Rodgers. That's how he's playing him. Rodgers wants to play him as a passing player, And then Diddy's good at getting the ball back and slinging it up. He doesn't play in the way Rodgers has been playing him, and it would just never work.
I get being rubbish. I get being poor. None of these players are rubbish and poor. What I don't get is players not just putting in a sprint. We've put the link out there, and we're going to try and we know it's going to be busy. We know there's going to be lots of it. Rob says we were never in the game. Don't be daft. We were in the game. God knows how, because we were rubbish.
We just did typical Leicester. As soon as we score, we can't defend. Nothing's going. We're not going to defend anything at that rate. We never do. It's just typical Leicester.
I mean, Dipak says here, I always value Dipak's views. He says sacking Rodgers would require spending money, and spending money was always the very last resort for this club. Winning on the cheap has finally bitterness on the odds. But Dipak, we've just sold Sanku. We haven't reinvested it in players. We bought Wes Fowl, who, I'm going to be honest, look bang average today, but what are you expecting?
It's going to cost a lot more to get relegated to the Championship.
Yeah, getting relegated to the Championship now. I mean, Andrew says here, we can't continue playing this terrible possession football. I mean, Ndidi got caught. I don't even know what goal that was. The fourth goal, when Ndidi gets caught?
One of the six. It was one of them.
Easy win for Forest if Rodgers is still in charge. Ward was shocking. I mean, was Ward shocking? He just didn't do anything. He didn't save anything apart from one tip on the crossbar.
I think we should have got a new keeper before Ward was assigned the number 1 shirt. I think he made a couple of mistakes today. It definitely wasn't his fault for all 6 of the goals today, but he doesn't help himself in a lot of situations. I mean, you can pinpoint any player. None of the players today deserve to get any praise after that, really.
No.
Like even though we scored 2 goals, it's still poor from us. We did against Brighton, like you said, when we were 2 to win it. We did the same against Brighton, and they put 2-3 extra goals in past us. I mean,
Scott says here we've not played in 2 weeks. Spurs played midweek. You've got to remember, and this is where I've had enough of Rodgers personally.
Again,
because
it's grabbing at straws a little bit.
This time last year, Rodgers was saying we've got too many injuries. That's why we're playing in Europe. Blah blah blah. It's just, he's got to start. I mean, not even watch the post-match today or listen to it. We'll go and listen to it. But just predict what type of nonsense is he going to come out with. Franco says players have down tools.
I mean, that's down to Rodgers, isn't it? He's playing them in a way that's not winning. They're not playing to their strengths at all anymore. And again, if Rodgers isn't charged for the Forest game, we've had 2 weeks off for Rodgers to change it from Brighton. What's he done? He's let Spurs come and score 1 extra goal than Brighton did.
I mean, Chris says here, Danny Ward did not have a bad game. Chris, sorry, mate. He's not had a good game at all this season. We've put the link out there and I'll share it again in a minute. We've got some people waiting to come on. We've got Jay, Jono, Imran, Ben. I'm going to get all their comments in. Iverson needs to be number 1 from now on, says Dale.
Under Rodgers, he won't be.
He should have done it today. He should have. For me, he should have said, with the poops hit the fan, we need to do something. Ward waited for a chance and hasn't taken it. End of. No.
This was his big chance in 10 years of his professional career to play in proper football, not even first team football in Championship League 1, in Premier League football, and he's just not took it at all.
But a proper player wants to play football, and that's what Danny Ward's not done in 10 years. When Kasper Schmeichel was at Man City when he was very young, he then, I think, went to Leeds, and then he wanted to play football. He went to Notts County. If you want to play football, you play football. You take the dip. Danny Ward has sat on Liverpool's bench all his life, and he's sat on Leicester's bench all his life, and he's just took the money, and he's only in goal because Casper's left to clear some wages, and the club have bought Smithies. Why have we bought Smithies from Cardiff?
He's on about
nonsense.
£500,000 a year as well.
Liam says the corners are dreadful.
We've got a new set piece coach in to sort this out. He's been here a week, so he can't say anything on it. But again, I don't know how many goals were conceded by set pieces. At least half of them today were set pieces.
Let's get some fans on. We'll put the link out there as well. Let's get Imran on. Let's get Imran's views to start with. Imran.
How's it going, guys?
Well, not great, Imran, if we're honest. What's your take on it today?
Well, you know what? This last 7 weeks, right? My hair is going white and more white and more white. It's just getting embarrassing, mate. We actually started well again. Like I said last time, right? We take the lead and then we invite pressure onto ourselves. We're a comedy show. That's what we are. You know, my dad used to watch Benny Hill back in the 80s. And he was laughing today, saying this is like Benny Hill. Like it's just a comedy show. That's what we do. We are an absolute joke in defence. To be honest, Spurs didn't even have to come out of second gear today, did they?
I think playing around with it, Imran, weren't they? People were saying we were in it, and I just think Spurs were in first gear.
Yeah, and the other thing is, right, like I think like I said this a couple of weeks ago, like we take so many touches in midfield, the other team have already positioned themselves, then it's harder for us to break them down. And that's what they do to us, is that we'll pass the ball around, then we'll lose the ball, we're out of position, and then they score. And Danny Ward, like I wanted to give the guy a chance. But from those 6 goals today, you'd expect him to save one of those Son shots, right? Like one of an amazing save, tip it around the bar or something. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys now. I don't think Wood's up to Premier League standard now. It's
But Danny Ward, he should have never been given the chance to begin with. He's never played a Premier League game in 10 years of his
career. But we should have given. It was good to give him a chance, but he's obviously proved himself now. Right?
Now he's our downfall at the moment of the club. We're stuck with him for the rest of the season till January.
But Sam and Imran, what I don't want to do here is I don't want to blame today's performance and everything on Danny Ward. He's had a stinker of a season, Danny Ward. But Ndidi not chasing back. Castagna not chasing back. We had Luke Thomas the other week not chasing back. The players, this is the number one thing for me. The players are not playing 100%. They're just not, Imran, are they?
They're just not doing it. I mean, I sold my tickets last week, right? And I knew this would happen. But then I thought, I shouldn't have sold my tickets, because I thought first half we were okay. It's just the second half we just capitulated. It was similar to the Brighton game, wasn't it? Exactly the same sort of scoreline, except they scored a goal more this time. And yeah, mate, like I said, we just got to turn it around. We've got Forest next. That is really like a make or break game now, isn't it? For all of us. Like, if we can't pick up 3 points there, I think I'm just going to be readying myself for the championship.
I mean, Jay Smith says it. All right, Jay, hope you're well. He says it's not Ward's fault. The manager picks him over a guy that has played every week for the last 3 seasons and gets player of the year on loan last year at Preston. And I agree. Ward has just been happily taking a big fat paycheck on Leicester's bench.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Jay said there, it's not Ward's choice to be in that team. It's Ward's choice how well, he plays himself and how he adapts and how he learns. He's had Casper as his kind of mentor for the past 4 or 5 years, and he's learned nothing from Casper in that time. He doesn't hours away from the ball. He took for one of the goals today. He had his hands tucked into his chest, his face pointing the other way. Who does that as a keeper? That just shows someone who's a coward when he's in goal.
Yeah, but Phil, do you know what? Do you know? Like, I was just thinking about this, right? Like, being a Leicester fan is difficult. Let's be honest, right? We have good seasons. We have extremely bad seasons like we're having now, but we can get out of this. I still believe that we can get out of it.
Imran, can we get out of this with Brendan Rodgers?
Definitely not. No chance. We need, like I said, we need a fresh face. A new leader makes a big difference. Players will pull their socks up again. It reinvigorates everyone, doesn't it? When you've got a new manager, it just changes the scene. And unfortunately, he's a good manager. Well, let me rephrase. He's a good coach. But I just don't think he's a good manager. And I think if we just get somebody in, I know it's going to cost the club money. And I think Deepak made a good point, we just don't want to spend money. And that's why we've ended up in this mess. But we'll have to bite the bullet on this one.
Imran, I'm going to let you go. Thanks again for joining us. I've got so many people to get in. Thanks, Imran. Yeah. We'll see you soon. Let's get some comments in there. Sean says here, I have a new manager. We will need it. Too slow, subbing Nacho on, says Canarian. And Vardy that late on. Again, Rodgers made.
Well, I think for the owners themselves, why would they give Rodgers a clause if this was such an issue? They've given him that thing. If they knew everything was going to hit the fan, like you said, and it was an option, there's never, you can never rule off that he's not going to do bad like he has done. You don't give him that contract. I'm sorry, the owners have to face the fact they've given him this £10 million buyout clause now. They have to suck it up and pay it now. Otherwise, like I say, it's going to be championship. It's going to cost us 100 odd million.
Now, David says it, and I'm going to get in Jono, and then we've got Ben, we've got Ross, we've got Jay. You're all going to get on. But I want Jono to come in and just answer this quickly. David says here, hi, Jono, thanks for coming on. He says, for once, let's play devil's advocate. How do you blame Rodgers for Ndidi's indecision? How do you blame him for Castagna and Ndidi not running back just because they're professional? Jono.
I don't blame the players, because how can all 4 players make those mistakes? If one player has a blunder, then fair enough. But this is week in, week out, the same mistakes. How can you blame the players? Yes, Ndidi made a horrific error, but he's not turning. No one's informing Ndidi of the pressure, and he's looking at Ward. What is he meant to do? What are the tactics? He just stand there and get tackled? Is he meant to pass back to Ward, or is he meant to turn and pass it forwards? How can you blame Ndidi for all of that?
This is the thing, Jono. I don't think you can. I think all the players were poor today, generally.
Yeah.
Some may be better than others, but generally it was a bang average performance by all the players. Bang average by Rodgers on the touchline's decisions. Just for me, I've been backing Rodgers, Jono, all the way.
Yeah.
Rodgers out now.
He's got to go, because this is 7 games. He has to go now.
I'm not watching Leicester again until he's gone. I'm sorry, I'm fed up. How can you sit there and watch that every week? I'm calling the scorelines every week. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't. How can you watch? I spend all that money. I spend thousands on. I can't watch the game, so I spend the money on shirts to support the club, and that's where it's going, on nonsense like that. I can't support the club like that with Brendan in charge.
Sean says here, Ward wasn't the only one you can blame. There's another 10 players for this really bad display. Michael says it was bloody woeful. And Ndidi was shocking today.
All the players.
These players, Jono, I think these players, and I'll ask you first, Jono, then Sam. I think these players have down tools. I think they're not playing at full. They're not playing at full pell. That's my issue.
This is Puel. This is Ranieri. This is Shakespeare again. The players will not play until they get a new manager in. They're fed up of Brendan's boring tactics.
I mean, Sam, this is what David says. The players have given up with Brendan. They always look like they don't know what they're supposed to do.
I agree they have down-tooled in the aspects that they don't want to play for. I also think the tactics that are just being shown are just that awful that they don't know how to play them. Castagna today, it looked like he was playing as a wing-back. Why do you play a right-back as a right wing-back when they got 4 in defence? He got caught out at least 3 times for someone's hat-trick because he came on the right side of the pitch every time. It's that's down to Rodgers, bad tactics. And you can say that they've down tooled because they don't want to play for him, but at the end of the day, they've only down tooled because they don't want Rodgers to be here anymore.
Joshua says, Ndidi, Sumari, Ward all need to sit out. Keith, I'm with Keith. Unfortunately, Brendan has to go. Jono, just before we let you go, I'm going to add in Jay. So, Jay, you ready to come in? We've got loads of people want to get their comments in. So, Jay, what would you like to say?
I don't know. It's just poor. I have no words anymore. Other than he has to go.
There's so much to talk about. This guy, AHMGH, please report him, whoever that is on YouTube, says, explain Sumari on for Ndidi in the 86th minute.
Explain all the substitutions. Why is he bringing people on 80 minutes into a game when we're 3-4-2 down? Why is he not bringing attacking players on when we're dominating a game? It's just stupid.
You've got, Jono, you have the contrast of 2 managers there, 2 styles. Conte on the sideline and Brendan Rodgers on the sideline. Talk us through that.
Brendan Rodgers is wet lettuce. Absolute wet lettuce. Conte would have been screaming at those players. He would have been giving them absolute... he would have teared them a new bumhole. He would have literally said, what on earth are you doing? Brendan would have gone, well, Maddison, great goal. Really good play. But Conte would have ripped him. That's the difference. Brendan Rodgers is a wet lettuce. He can't tactically get behind. He can't do the right thing with the players to get them to score or play well. And that's the difference.
Jay, I want to ask this to everybody who comes on. Jay, has Rodgers got to go? And has he got to go tonight? Has he got to go now?
Yes, no, right now. Right now. He should not even be allowed to be on the coach home.
And then Jay Etham says here, get Sean Dyche in, because I believe he lives
100%.
in...
Yeah, he's around the area. I believe he was, he's a quick, cheap and, a sound option at the moment. Even just short time for a year, he'll happily take it. it's a job inside, where he lives. It's not like he has to go all the way down to Bournemouth to get a job. If they're offering it, let's be honest, Leicester will probably overpay for him because that's how Leicester do business. But it'll be, better than what we've got right now, in my opinion. Rodgers is, you have to pay 10 million to sack him out, but like I said, the owners have given that on themselves. They have to deal with it now.
Jay, just before I let you go, Rob says fans need to get behind the team. Get behind what exactly? What do you think Rodgers is going to say after that tonight?
I don't know if that's what Rodgers has just said in the press.
What's he going to say? That he would talk about individual errors, probably blame the fans again, and just shift any blame from him onto anybody else he can.
Well, yeah, like Jono, like Scott says here, and this is the thing, we're fans, we see it. Scott says, has Rodgers done his press yet? Want to know whose fault it is this week. Last week was the fans, it's been everybody. Last season, it was the injuries. You've got to remember, last year he was moaning that we were not for whatever. This year, it's the transfers. Jono, where'd you go with it?
His tie, he's going to blame the rain next. I can't see how he can defend himself. He keeps on saying, "Oh well, it's on me." I don't know. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. It's just the defensive errors are comical. Like you can laugh. I'm laughing at our own conceit. I'm laughing at our own goals because I'm like, I could defend better than that. I could. It's not difficult. Football is not difficult in the grand scheme of things, but he's making it look like we can't. Like he's gone around Leicester and gone, you can play today. You can play today.
I believe that man has just said, I'd rather have Boris Johnson than Rodgers. Come on, I'm not sure about that, mate.
Man's video on his channel, like get Rodgers out, like tomorrow. It'll be a fun video.
Great. Thanks, Jay, and thanks, John. I'm going to let you both go because we've got loads of other people. Yeah. Thanks very much. We'll see you both soon. Cheers, guys. Ben Morgan and Jono, I'm going to add in, and Ross, I'm going to come to you. Don't worry. Let's add in Ben. Ben, let's start with you. You all right, man? What?
2 seconds. 2 seconds. Hang on. Can you hear that?
I can just about hear it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But Brian says here, he says it's embarrassing now to even watch them play anymore because you know it's going to be another shambolic performance and weakness at the back. They've given up and can't play for Rodgers anymore. It's sad and frustrating for all of us. Ben, what do you want to say on that today?
Well, I think everyone knows where I stood for a little while. But look, we've got an international break now. We know what's coming around the corner next in October 3rd. We know what's coming around the corner. So do we really want to be embarrassed by them again, or we're going to do something and hopefully, do something positive?
And Ben, do you think he's got to go and it's got to be now?
It's got to be. I mean, what we do? We're going to be embarrassed. We want to get embarrassed by Forest again, otherwise.
Yeah, indeed. Ben, let's add in Jono. Jono, good evening. How are you?
How are you, Jono?
Jono, what's your reaction from that? You've had a couple of minutes now just to cool down a little bit. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm not sure if I've cooled down at all, to be honest. It's a copy and paste of the Brighton match, wasn't it? Absolutely. Second half was woeful. And once again, in the first half, still shows that Rodgers can't sort out set pieces. He's not a manager. He doesn't know how to correct problems. It's clear as day to everyone that watches Leicester that he isn't a man that's going to take us forward. And he hasn't been for probably over a year. He has to go today. He has to go.
Dawn says here, Jono, Dawn says he needs to do the decent thing and leave. He's notorious. He is not going to leave, is he? He will be sacked.
He's on 200 grand a week at Leicester.
200 grand a week, Jono. Can you and me and Sam, can we even try to comprehend what 200 grand a week is? And Jono, I can't remember what job you do, Jono.
Well, I don't get nowhere near that amount of money.
If you did a bang average job, and then the worst that was going to happen was a £23 million payout, Jono.
It's it's absolutely sickening, isn't it? It's absolutely sickening that someone that is so inept at their job can walk away and essentially be rewarded for being, am I allowed to swear, shite, quite frankly. He has been crap for 12 months or more. He wants to be sacked. So in that respect, the players are playing for him because that's exactly what he probably wanted tonight, an absolute whipping, and then he gets his 10 million quid.
I've got to say hi to Tommy George up in a big Scouser up in Everton land, but he's watching Leicester Fan TV and saying 200 grand a week. He's mugged us all off.
Yeah, I mean, all I'd say is that the Liverpool fans were warning us about what would happen, and it's exactly happened, exactly how they said. The Celtic fans were saying the same when he joined us. They were salty as hell when he came, but they said that he'd gone stale in that last season, even though he was winning everything in Scotland. It was inevitable because there was no challenging in Scotland. So it seems like as soon as, I don't know what happens, he's a good coach to come into a team where you've got good players and get them galvanised and get them playing. And we saw that for the first sort of 12 months of him being in charge. As soon as he starts imposing some more ideas and his different tactics and trying to complicate things, it just goes to shot. And every team he's managed, it's been shockingly defensively, and we're seeing the same thing. He has to go. Top has to act and get rid of him. If he's in charge at Forest, I dread to think what the fans are going to be doing in the stadium. If we go down to Forest, what are we going to do? They'll be tearing the seats out of the stadium up. That's how angry people are, I think, at this point. I don't want to...
Jono, I'm at the point now, he can't be in charge for Forest, can he? He can't still be in charge.
No, I mean, he just can't be. I mean, it's just, we aren't seeing any improvement. Brighton game should have been a wake-up. It should have been, right, okay, we've had a dreadful, dreadful day here. Let's go back to basics. Let's be hard to beat. Let's line up and try to make ourselves difficult to beat. We were open as anything today. Spurs were as well. I mean, it could have been, it's a basketball game in the first half. It could have been 5-5 or something. We were creating chances, but that's only because Spurs were dreadful at the back as well. But we just need to get tighter at the back, and someone like Sean Dyche will do that. He'll come in and make us hard to beat, and that's what we need to do, I think, because we've got the goals in the team. If we start trying to be hard to beat, create some clean sheets, be tough and ruthless at the back, we'll score goals and we'll start winning games. Not 5-0 like we have been in the past with Rodgers, but we need to be scraping 1-0s, 2-1s, that kind of thing. And we'll start moving up. I've got faith that we can still get out of this, but not with Rodgers. Rodgers needs to go.
Jono, thanks so much for joining us, giving us your views. Let's see what happens. Thanks a lot for joining us.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate. I'm going to get Ross in, and then I'm going to get Gray in very, very shortly. Don't like long ball. That's 90s football, says Stephen Price. Stephen can't quite understand what he's on about there. He's probably had too many of these, like me, watching the football and trying to just get through it. Somebody put a comment in there, Sam, which I can't find. It was but they said if Rodgers doesn't go, I'm questioning Top.
Yeah, I think you have to agree with that. Again, like I've been saying it probably third or fourth time now throughout this stream, Top and the owners have given him that contract, that big buyout clause. They have to suck it up and they have to sack him at that price because that's what they've given him. We're dead last. Pugh did better than Rodgers did it to get sacked at this rate. It's hard to say. Rodgers was a class manager. He's throwing his dummies out the pram. He's throwing everyone under the bus.
I mean, Nick says if Bichar was still here, he'd be gone by now.
Yeah, I think Top. I don't know what Top's waiting on, honestly. We're never going to know as fans behind the scenes what's going on, but we can all see on the front line that Rodgers is deflated and defeated as a Leicester manager now.
He's gone. Ross, let's get Ross in. Ross, I think you've been in the pub, haven't you, watching that in Sheffield?
Barnsley, more like.
Barnsley, was it?
That's where I am at the minute. So I'm working in Barnsley today. So I honestly, I'm really nearly reduced to tears. Honestly, it's that bad. You know, I understand that, you know, Tottenham, great team, beating at minute, you know, the other side. We should have learned the lessons from Brighton. We didn't. 1-0 up again. Once again, 4 games this season, we've taken the lead. And once again, we've not won. And a lot of people are saying he's got to go, and he has. I've said this for a long time. He's got to go. And do you know what it is? It's like when you're in a job you do not like, and you don't want to get sacked because the job centre will still pay you when you're on job seekers allowance. Because if you leave, you don't get your 2 weeks allowance every 2 weeks. That's kind of like what Rodgers is doing. You know, you're 5-2 down. You bring on a centre mid, unless indeed he was injured. What on earth was that substitution about? And correct me if I'm wrong, but how many did Vardy actually have a touch when he came on? No way. I don't believe that. Can we look at that?
Yeah,
While I'm on here now, I can have a look for you. I'll have a look for you while I'm on here.
yeah, we're having a look. I'm posting the link for Jason Mills and Tom if they want to come on. Gray, are you all right to come on? Gray.
All right, great.
We're just looking.
Right, I'm just going to quickly say this, Phil. I sent you a picture last night on Messenger. My lovely picture that I won.
Yeah.
I've had it signed by the man himself.
I saw that, Gray, yes. That's added some value to it.
Mate, that's not all for sale. It's not all for sale. Right, so all I'm going to say is I called it before he came on the pitch. Son was going to tear us a new arsehole, and he's done it. He came on, 55, 60 minutes? How can a substitute win man of the match? And they were great goals. You ain't stopping them, whether you're Casper, whether you're this, whether you're that, or whatever. They were great goals. We were just absolute dog shit. Where's the song gone from last season? Wilfred indeed. He'll take the ball from you. They'll take the fucking ball from him. And I'm sorry for the language, Phil, but where is Fearless Foxy's gone?
It's gone, Gray. There's no Fearless Foxes. Keep the faith, fight till the end, whatever you want to say. It was, yeah, I mean, the councillor says here the song was brilliant. I'm not, to be fair, I don't think we're reacting to losing to Spurs, Sam. Just come back to you, Gray, in a minute. I don't think we're reacting to losing to Spurs 6-2. It's losing to Brighton 5-2. It's losing away at Chelsea. It's like everything.
We've been in winning positions, like Ross said, a lot of times this season. Brentford should have been 3 points. Southampton should have been 3 points. Chelsea should have been a draw against 10 men for 60 minutes. You know, Rodgers today, bad substitutions again. You know, like for like things. Daka starts, which is great, but Inacho should start alongside with him. I thought, you know, against Brighton, he was one of the better players. I'm not sure why.
It's the manner of losing, like Blue Van Man says there. Dave says there. It's the manner, Gray, of the defeat, isn't it?
Oh, there was no manner. There was no fight. We were lucky that the Reece came off his line for the retake. I said to my wife as soon as it went in, we've scored too early. Leicester scored too early. We got absolutely trounced at the minute, and I'm absolutely devastated in my club. My mother-in-law's a Spurs fan, and I sent her a message and said, best thing that's going to come out of this, you give us an absolute pasting and he's sacked. That's the best thing that can come out of this. But apparently Dyche has put his name in for the Bournemouth job. So If he comes to us,
I don't care
Then-
anyone that comes in.
Ross, are you now? Ross, has he got to go?
I've said this for a while, Felipe. Like, he's got to go. I mean, right, look at our next game. Forest at home, okay? Forest on
they'll
tonight,
hammer us.
you know, with their 44 signings, you know, I mean, it's going to be one of them games where we'll end up finishing 0-0. But you look on our next three
They'll do
games,
us 4 or 5.
after that, well, it's fair, it's half and half. End of the day, next three games, Forest, Bournemouth, and then someone, I can't remember who else, but he's going to go into. People were laughing at me the other day when I said about, you know, bringing in Wes Morgan and Muzzies as like caretakers and stuff. People laugh at me. Come on then, I'd like to see you come on laugh at me now. Because are you honestly going to defend that? I'd like to see you really defend that.
All I'll quickly say is the Queen passing away, God bless her, and the Premier League being suspended last week, Villa would have dicked us, and that's kept Rodgers in the job a week longer. We've been hammered today. That's 11 goals in 2 games. It's disgusting. He's not fit to manage our club.
We've conceded at least one goal. So 2 against Brentford, 4 against Arsenal, that's 6. 2 against Southampton, 8. 2 against Chelsea, that's 10. 1 against Man U, that's what, 11? And then 11, so 11 goals in them games, right? We've conceded, how many is it? 11 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah, that's what I
22
just said.
goals we've conceded. And I don't know if anyone saw that, what is it called, the little facts. 25 goals we have conceded from set pieces.
Brendan, listen, guys, I'm just watching. Brendan Rodgers has said post-match, you can't win games if you don't defend well enough. The international break gives us a chance to get some good work in.
Are you being serious?
Right.
Sorry, I can't laugh. I can't laugh.
Right, Ross, I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much for joining us, mate.
All right.
Cheers, Ross. Don't want to watch them on TV, never mind paying to watch them. I mean, we know Reedy's gone down there from the Leicester Fan TV office and 3,000 other Leicester fans. I mean, what do you feel for them? Again,
It's just, again, I said at the start of the season it'd be nice to go to a few away games this season. You know, at the moment, it's just, I don't really want to go and watch us get battered 6-2, and I feel sorry for the fans that have gone down and spent best part of 50 to 100, 150 quid on today just to watch us lose 6-2 with a really lacklustre performance.
Jason Mills has clicked on the link. Jason, I'm going to add you in.
Hello.
Jason, good evening, mate. How are you? Let me know what you're feeling after that.
Pretty much as depressed as everybody else at the minute. I said earlier on, I was asking if anybody's got any antidepressants going spare. I mean, as I said, I was saying earlier, I mean, I was up until the Brighton game, I was very much a Rodgers in. But what we've seen for the past couple of weeks, it's not good enough. He's got to go now.
Right, Jason, I'm with you. I've been backing Brendan all the way. I've just got to the point now where this is a business. Leicester City is a business, multi-million pound business. It's literally whatever's going wrong, and none of us really know what's going wrong. But whatever's going wrong, Jason, as owners of the company, you need to change. You need to do something, and the only thing there to do instantly is Rodgers, isn't it?
Well, exactly. That's what I said earlier on. I said, if there's something not going right on the pitch, you make a substitution to fix it or try and fix it. So at the top of the tree is the manager. If he's not performing and making things happen, then you've got to change it. It doesn't matter who you are with regards to the club. You've got to change it if it's not working. Just to pick up a point on what you mentioned earlier on about players downing tools, I try and veer away from that a little bit. I've never really been a believer in it. So I think it's all too an easy an analogy to jump to.
Jason, I hear what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing with you on it. How do you explain, not just today, but against Brighton and against Chelsea, how do you explain today people like Ndidi and Castagna jogging?
Yeah,
What is that?
I can see that. I can see where you're going with the players down on tools when it comes to that respect. But even
Jason,
with the Brighton game,
Jason, I think are you a postie?
I am.
If you started not delivering those letters just, I'm not going to bother delivering those letters today. I'm going to do 60% of those letters. What would happen to you?
Well, obviously, if management found out about it, I'd have my P45 in my hand rather than the letters.
So if Ndidi and Castagna are running at 60, 70% and not 100%.
Yeah. I hear where you're going with it. Yeah. I hear where you're going. But even with the results that have been, there has been, even today's game, there were certain pockets of the game where we looked like we could play good football. But for whatever reason, it's just not the team, as somebody mentioned the term earlier on, capitulating. We're capitulating in games. We're just going to pieces. And is that the players just saying, well, stuff it, I've had enough? Or is it down to Brendan? Is Brendan not? He's obviously not getting the best out of the players.
Is it the training ground, Sam?
I think it's very luxury at the moment for Leicester. I think they're very much on they might be bottom of the Premier League, but hey, they're still going to get paid 80 grand at the end of the week.
That's another thing. That whole training ground was supposed to have been the one of the best in Europe, and to attract and to make players better. Last season we had, it sounds like sort of like going backwards a little bit, but last season we had, was it 14 players missing at one point? And we're supposed to have the best of the best training facilities and medical facilities going, yet we had 14 players out through injuries. That's something else that, has that been an impact on it? But then we've had these players that should all be fit by now and back to full fitness. So that really can't be used as an excuse anymore.
Rodgers looks like he's lost the changing room on Sky and job. Cha-ching. He says in there, the Foxes fan says the only player performing is Maddison. Nothing on Sky Sports about him being sacked.
No. I did say earlier on, it's got to be, for him not to have been sacked already, as we speak right now, for him to still be in the job and to be even allowed on the bus, something that must have this monumental payoff for his contract. It's got to be somewhere like 15 or 20 million pounds, which isn't going to be affordable for the owners to do so. If they can't spend X amount of millions on players in the summer for the transfers, how are they going to afford to pay off the manager? And I think that's the only reason what's keeping him in his job, is because they haven't got the finances to kick him out the door.
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to let you go, Jason. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you very soon. Thanks, Jason, for his views. Yes, Sam. Go on.
I've said it again. I'll say it again and again. Owners have given Brendan Rodgers that contract and that buyout clause. If he did bad, that's how much it's going to cost to sack him. And unfortunately, we've just got to pay for it. And it's going to cost us whatever it costs us now. And start the season from now when he's sacked. Last season we said it was pretty lackluster. 8th place was, paving over the cracks a little bit because, we were 10 points from 15th place basically last season. So there wasn't much change in what really happened. He's definitely got worse. He's thrown everyone under the bus. Scott Parker did it and he got the sack. I think the only thing that Rodgers is kept in job for is because it's going to cost us a lot of money to sack him.
We've got Dan who's going to come in. Dan, are you ready to come in?
Mate.
Yes, Dan. What would you like to say?
So basically, there's so many different things now that all of us are thinking, in terms of what's happened with Rodgers and the team. But the fight there wasn't there at the end. We capitulated with, Son. We all know he's a good player again, like many people have said, but you just can't afford to let him run at us like he did. It was a freebie for him at the end, getting the hat trick. I think the one thing that I want to say is the figure that sticks out for me is that the fact we've conceded 22 goals in 7 matches, and that is a Premier League record. Let that sink in. That is very telling. We can't afford to concede that many goals, and we think we're going to be able to, Dan,
Robbo says here, and it's an interesting topic. It'll probably have its own half hour in it, but he says, expanding a stadium, but we have no money. What's going on?
I've seen a lot written about the stadium. I believe we paid out for the stadium before we've had these financial issues. And I don't know if anyone's read about it, but there's a lot going around about the FFP with UEFA, and we've been earmarked as a club and let off because of COVID. So, make of that what you will. And then, with the stadium, that's great. But you know, as fans, we're all going to support Leicester no matter what, even if we are playing in the Championship next season. And let's be honest, that is a real possibility now. So there's going to be loads of names thrown out there. Dyche obviously is getting thrown out there a lot, I know. And people say Allardyce, but the problem that I think we've got is, do we want to take a manager on the interim to the end of the season and get a better manager? And the people like Dyche probably won't take the job in an interim. He's not going to come in without a contract, is he?
I'm just pausing because I am starting to read
that he's gone
a little bit about Brendan Rodgers. I'm starting to read some bits, but nothing on a site that I would put my neck on.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, Dan, for losing it. We're just Rodgers says on Sky Sports, I can't hide from that, and he accepts he's under a lot of pressure. Yeah, I mean, nobody'd be surprised. That's the thing. I'm going to have Tom in as well, Dan. Are you all right to stick around for a minute?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Sorry, Tom. We're just trying to read stuff. I've got the feeling that it could happen at any minute, Tom.
Well, I'm surprised he's still in charge after that abysmal, embarrassing, no belief, no passion, no commitment, no desire from a team of multi-million-pound superstars and a manager that leaves it with 20 minutes to go to think, I'm 3-2 down. We haven't really done much in the second half. I'll change it now. And then before you know it, we're 4-2 down and the game's gone. I'm sorry. I love you, Top, but you've got to do it. Your father would have done it by now. He would not be hanging around and wasting time. The time is to act now. These performances are worse than Puel. Puel got slated for some poor performances, but he never lost 5-2. He never lost 6-2. And I look at teams that have gone down in the past. At the moment, we're going down as probably the worst team in history if we carry on like this. Worse than Derby. Let that sink in. We could go down with less points than Derby County, who got 11.
Well, also, look at some of our players and the way that they're performing, and they haven't been like that. And I mean, Ndidi today, what he did was criminal. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
There's two ways to look at that for me. That goal. One, the ball should never have gone back to D in that position. People say he had space. Wilfred Ndidi is not a ball-playing defensive midfielder. Brendan Rodgers is trying to make him into this ball-playing defensive midfielder. He can't play football. All he's good at is winning the ball back and knocking the ball 5 yards from left to right.
So then why doesn't he play Soumare, who's been playing in those games, who's better going forward?
I do not understand why Soumare got dropped today. I'd love to know Brendan's theory on that, because that was when I saw the team this morning, I did not get how Wilfred kept his place after, yes, he played centre-half and it's not his natural position, but he wasn't really that good at passing anyway. And Soumare links to play forward was a lot better in those two games. The whole thing today from start to finish. Look, first 45 minutes, I didn't think we were bad. If we could defend better at corners, you go in 2-0 at half time. Simple as that.
But it's the same again. We did the same against Brighton. We got ourselves back in the game, and then we just capitulated. And that's been mentioned by all the other guys, you know.
2 second half performances away from home on the trot, we have crumbled.
So what does that tell you? As he's lost them. He's lost them.
There's not a team of happy players there for me now, and it's not a team who wants to play from him. I'm sorry, I love Wes, but to hear Wes Morgan saying that Danny Ward is a top class keeper, no. Yeah. Not in any of the slightest.
That's just mates backing mates, Tom. That's
it is, mate.
That's like me saying you're good at looking after grounds and doing all your jobs.
He doesn't want to say anything about the players, though, does he? He's been there for a long time, and that's what that is. I think, you know, he
don't look great on him, though, mate, does it? I know he's sticking up for him, but it makes for me, it looks Wes Morgan look silly, because every single one can sit here tonight and say, I think I saw a stat earlier. He's faced 42 shots. He's conceded 22 goals. Yeah. That is a 50% save rate. That's embarrassing.
What was worried about with putting Everson in then? There's got to be something where he doesn't, you know. Styles the goalkeeping coach.
Well, the reason he can't put Everson in is because he's given Danny Ward the number 1 shirt on his back. He's made a rod for his own back, Rodgers has. He should have left them both as whatever squad numbers they were last year, played them, and then he could have said, well, I've not selected my number 1 yet, but he didn't. I suppose in a way you could commend him and say, I'm giving Danny Ward the number 1. You are my number 1 keeper. The trouble is, like I said before the ball was kicked in the first game, Tom, if Danny Ward has a howler in that first game and then goes on, he's gone down a cul-de-sac, Rodgers has, with putting Ward in charge. But Tom, we've got to be careful. This isn't a crucified Danny Ward, Wilfred Ndidi. This is 7 games of absolute dross and backed onto last season.
Mate, we all know that. You all know that. There's a smoke screen over this for some reason that the board are not willing to pull the trigger. I don't get why, and I don't get what Rodgers has got over the board. Something just doesn't sit right with me at the moment, that the board do not feel that it's time to sack him. For me, today's the perfect time now. 2 weeks, get someone gone tonight and get Sean Dyche in as quick as we can. Forget about this whole Pochettino. Forget all these big names. We need
I agree.
Solid manager to come in, sort the defence out. What's a mess at the moment, sadly. I like the look of the new lad. I like that he can read the game. He seems to know roughly where he needs to be every single time. And after one game, I don't think he had a bad game today, and I can't blame him really for any of the goals. But you need a solid manager who knows this league and knows how to set a team up. And look, I just think Sean Dyche is the time to come in. I will put this point back to Leicester fans, because a lot will say about Danny Ward this, Danny Ward that. Just remember, you were the ones who said it's all right, it doesn't matter, Danny Ward can come in and do the job. A lot of Leicester fans were backing Danny Ward to come in and do this job. A lot of Leicester fans were, Kasper Schmeichel's past it, he should have gone 2 years ago. Be careful what you whisper for, because now we look 10 times worse. Even last season, Schmeichel was keeping us in games. The amount of games, the amount of goals he stopped going in that net, we would be probably where we were last season.
He was a leader, wasn't he? And he spoke. Yeah. You seen him shouting at the players, But there's so many things with Rodgers that are wrong with the club right now. The broken relationships with how many players? Soyuncu for one. Yeah, okay. A lot of people made him a scapegoat. Don't forget, they said that he was part of our problem last season, and now our fans are saying it's time to bring Soyuncu back because he's better than what we've got. If Rodgers goes as well, relationships like that, then we reset and we can play players like that.
But Tom,
I was just going to say, there's the saying goes, form is temporary, class is permanent. I don't think Soyuncu has gone from an average player to a very good player back to an average player who can't be turned around again. You need a manager who's willing to put his arm around him, like he did with Maddison at the beginning of last season. What didn't work, and he put his arm around him. That's what managers who got the 4th highest paid in the league do. When things aren't going right for a player, but they've still got all that potential there. This is a bloke who was going to Real Madrid for 45 million not long ago. You put your arm around a player, you get him back to his best. You don't hang him out to dry at Tottenham away last season and blame him and not one player, one else. You don't turn around and start dropping players because you don't like what they've said on the radio after a game, what he's done with Cassania this year. That is poor man management for me, just because he said the opposite to what you've said. Oh, you ain't playing this week. And people say, we don't know that. You didn't drop Cassania for the last 2 games. Cassania hasn't been a bad player this season, but he drops in and brings in a kid. The kid, Luke Thomas, was put under pressure for 2 games and crumbled. Yeah. Rodgers has lost the respect for me of the change room. He's lost the fan base now. Reedy doesn't even support him anymore, and that says it all tonight. Reedy even said, if he loses today,
can I ask you guys a question? How do we feel about the fight in the team tonight? Do we feel like that was lacking at the end there, and we just gave up? Or
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying to Jason, Sam, is that there was a bit of fight at times, but then there wasn't the busting a ball sack to get back and defend or win a ball, was there?
No, like you say, it was 50% just jogging. You saw Castagna. I said to you, I was moaning because Castagna, who was meant to be a right back, was in their half of the pitch. And I understand he's playing as a wing back, but who plays a wing back in a back 4? You've got no one to cover him that side. And that's how Son scored his hat tricks, because the right side of the pitch was open every single time that last half an hour. There was no defence at all in that last half an hour on the right side.
I was just going to say, you've hit the nail on the head. The formation he picked today played into Tottenham's hands. You've got a player in Maddison out of position, not really creating much. Got a goal today, brilliant, and got an assist. But let's not get wrong, he's not the player who's going to work his socks to get back in and help Castagna down that left-hand side at any point, was he? And Castagna got left out there, just exposed the whole game. Even Sky commentator was saying how exposed it is because they're playing a formation that gives Tottenham the forward momentum. No, wrong. Tottenham were not great today at the back. But if we could defend, we would have come away with something today. That's 2 games on a trot now. We scored 2 goals away from home. If you go away from home and you score 2 goals, you should be coming away with something from a football match, in my view.
I'm definitely. I'm hearing. Obviously, I've not read it or listened to it, but there's a couple of interviews Rodgers has done post match, and people are generally quoting them and sharing the videos and the audio on Radio 5 Live, saying these are come and sack me interviews where he's effectively pretty much asking Dan, it's time to go. He's pretty much admitting it, but he's not going to walk.
No, there's a lot been mentioned and written about how much Rodgers is supposedly going to get, and I've seen so many figures, banding from 20 million to 15 to 10, and surely
he's got left on his contract is what I'm told, Dan, which is 2.2 years worth at £10 million a year, which equates to roughly £23 million.
But surely part of it's got to be Rodgers has got to have some humility and be with top, they've got to come to somewhere in the middle. I don't believe it's going to be, over £20 million. I just can't. But if it is, then like Tom said, maybe there's a reason that they're holding back. But Top hasn't come out and said anything in terms of confidence behind Rodgers, So now's the time, like you say, for him to come out and either back him or sack him.
Can I just quote what's been said by Rodgers while we're on here, boys? So off BBC Radio Leicester, we'll go with them. Brendan Rodgers speaking after the full time whistle of the 6-2 defeat to Tottenham. Very disappointed for the players. I thought for large parts of the game we were very good. We gave away soft goals, and 4 of the goals tonight came from corners and mistakes. Rodgers conceded 22 goals this season and a defensive record. It hasn't been good. You have to be honest. We have to be stronger in defence. You're not going to win games if you defend something like that. Our attacker play was good, but defensively poor. Rodgers on the run of games and staying in the Premier League. We had 7 games, and we've had some tough games away to Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal. They're now a run of games after the international. We feel we can get points, collect points. Brendan Rodgers' message to the fans. I'd like to give them an apology because this is a long way to come. They want to see the team defending stronger than they have done. So it's an apology from them, and we'll do everything we can. Also, apparently he's come out and said about the Forest game, we're playing them at the right time. Famous last words, Brendan. Famous last words.
They'll be well up to beat us, especially after our form now, I'll tell you that.
Tom, just before we wrap up, you like me have backed Rodgers. We backed Puel all the way as well.
Mate. I got slated for that.
Yeah, I know. And I can't see that. For me, Rodgers has to be gone by Monday morning to save our season. I really do feel it's that. What about you, Tom?
I want to see by 9 o'clock the corner flag emoji coming up on my screen of the King Power Stadium saying, let's see, have party company with Brendan Rodgers tonight, mate. Let's not walk around the bush here. We've got to get things done. And if we keep dragging this out, we could lose Deitch, who might go to Bournemouth, apparently another link that could go to. This has got to happen quickly now, and use this international break to get rid of Rodgers, get a new manager in the door ASAP, because for me, the 2 weeks now are crucial for the rest of our season, because you got to look at it. After we come back, we have, 6 weeks, I think it is, before then we break up for the World Cup. I think we play on the 5th away to Everton. We're then at home to Stockport and then away to West Ham. West Ham is our last game before we finish before the international and the World Cup fixtures. We then don't come back until the 25th or 26th of December at home to Newcastle, I think it is. For me, get him done now and give the manager a few games before we break up. 6 weeks, whatever it is, 8 weeks now before we break up for the World Cup. At least in the World Cup, he can work with the players that aren't gone to the World Cup and get something sorted, but come back after the World Cup and you're ready to go. It's like a mini pre-season for me, that World Cup for some of these players now. The ones who have been struggling with fitness, you've got time to work on that. You've got time to work on bits and pieces because not all the players are going to go to World Cup. So work with the ones you have got, because we've got to do something now. Because this team's going down, Phil. We've seen teams in the past get relegated playing better than this. The team that lost 5-0 to Bolton, I saw playing better football than this. The team that were relegated under Mickey Adams, I saw playing better football than this. That was a case of we made wrong signs at the wrong time. We had too many veterans in the team who couldn't cope. The team, who stayed up in the Great Escape season, weren't getting hammered every week. We're losing by 1 goal most games. We were still in football matches because of one thing. There was fight, there was passion, there was an understanding from the manager in Nigel Pearson to that team. You do not give up. Whatever happens, you do not give up on that football field until the 90th minute. And when the referee blows a whistle, as long as you've given your all, I will stand and back you. And he did that after post-match, after game when we were losing and we were bottom of the league at Christmas time. And we turned it round because the players believed in what the manager was doing. I don't see that belief from the players to the manager anymore. And to see James Maddison walking off that pitch the way he did today, it's heartbreaking, mate, because he cares. He doesn't want to see his football club get relegated. And for me, a player walking off like that knows that that's the only way we're going at the moment.
Tom, thanks so much for that. Dan, thanks for joining us as well. Appreciate both of you coming on, as well as everybody else. We'll see you both soon.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Dan. Come on again, please.
No
thanks, guys. Canarian Praiser says, if there was loyalty and sentiment in football, Rodgers would walk after these performances. He won't walk because that's the business side of football. He's got to go, hasn't he? He's got to go.
It's obvious. He has to go. There's no reason he should be the manager come midnight tonight. Not even wait till tomorrow, wait till Monday. You know, he needs to be sacked today. It's shocking. It's like you said, Spurs didn't have to kick themselves out of
first gear
at all today. There's nothing more you can say than sacking the manager. We've seen it before. You might all say it's not Rodgers' fault, but whenever a manager comes in and has a bad spell and loses the dressing room, you sack the manager, you bring someone new, and all the players seem to turn around and play better than what they have to. There might be a few players that, are trying, like you see Maddison, that is trying, but there's a lot of players out there that need a proper manager to come and turn around. Like you say, what he's done with Soyuncu in that, how does he go from being, like say, linked to Real Madrid to, probably pushing it by going on the bench at the moment?
Well, listen, it's 8:25 as we finish this post-match live. I've just checked through Twitter. I've just checked through all the news channels. Brendan Rodgers is still manager, but there's a heck of a lot of people saying he's got to go. We ran a poll with about 10 minutes to go on Twitter. Should Leicester Sam sack Brendan Rodgers now? You won't be surprised to know, Sam, that 93% of Leicester fans think Rodgers has to be sacked.
I'm interested to hear what those 7% of fans are saying to back Rodgers, really. I'm not sure what confidence we have in him. I'm not sure what those 7%, what their confidence is coming from to back him as manager anymore.
And I guess the last comment tonight, Jason says, thanks for coming on, Jason, early. He says, enough is enough. Forest seeing that today will be literally rubbing their hands at the thought of playing this. However bad Forest have been doing this season, chucking games away, remember, they are 3 points ahead of Leicester after 7 games. Stephen, we've done a vote. 93% of fans say get Rodgers out and get him out now. I am live on Monday at 7:30 in our regular weekly Fan Zone show. Do join us Monday night, 7:30. Perhaps we'll be talking about who's going to be the next manager. Perhaps we won't. Perhaps it will still be Rodgers. But tomorrow morning, 9:30, live, Jamie from the Fox's Arms in Alcudia will be doing the aftermath show. It's going to be a very, very lively one. 9:30 a.m., another live show. Monday, 7:30, another exciting live show with me. Thanks so much for Elijah and Michael doing the watch along today. Thanks for Tom. Thanks for Jono, all the guys who came on, Jason, everybody who came on the post-match show. Thanks for Sam as well for coming on. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30, and Monday at 7:30. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co Estate Agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.